So what I'm going to go into now is how to build your own relay for use for accessories such as lights, heater, wiper, things like that that require a decent amount of amperage and that you're not comfortable just running on the accessory stud of your Polaris Ranger. Maybe you have another side-by-side and you need more amperage on a switched circuit. So this is just a relay I had sitting in my toolbox. A lot of places like auto parts store would call them a headlight relay, and it's just a simple relay. This one's a Tyco. I don't know if you can see the part number on there very well. See how well the camera's focusing. So to do this, you'll notice there's 5 points. There's 5 terminals on this relay. And over on this side, numbers, let's see if I can get better light here, maybe. Numbers 85 and 86. Those 2 terminals, and they are labeled underneath. There are numbers. See if you can read them there. They are numbered, so you don't have to guess. 85 and 86 is going to be a positive and a ground. And that is going to basically work like an electromagnet and pull this switch over that's in the picture. Okay, now you'll notice over there on the right hand side there's those 3 terminals, 30, 87, and 87A. 87A is going to be the terminal where this sits at rest with no power to the relay. Your main feed power that's coming from your positive side, your full-time positive terminal, is going to go into number 30. That's your feed power coming in. Now the power going out to your accessories is going to be 87. That's the line going out that will have power to it when you turn the key on. Okay, now you got that all straight. Now 85 and 86, going to come back to this. You need a ground to one of those terminals, doesn't matter which. And then on the other terminal, that needs keyed power. So in other words, power that is there when you turn the key on. So in a case like this Polaris Ranger, that top terminal right here has keyed power. You could take this wire, put an end on it, and run it into either 85 or 86. And that will give the power to this relay and will turn the switch on inside the relay. Now you don't need heavy gauge wire for that. I mean, 16 gauge wire is fine. It doesn't take much to run this relay, very small amount. for that positive and ground wire for 85 and 6. So how many amps can you get out of this? This is a 40 amp startup, 30 amp running, and it's right on the label. Most of these relays are rated for at least 25 amps. So what I like to do is once you've got this wired in, I like to take 87, your output wire, and I would, like on this Ranger, I would remove this accessory wire and use it to charge the relay. Use it for 85 or 6 there. Plug it straight into here and then take the output terminal, which is 87, and run it to this stud. So I'm going to put accessory power back to this stud, and then I can hook all my other accessories to this stud and we will have switched power. And this relay I will zip tie right here in a place where it's not going to get damaged or rubbed on. You want to take care that you don't want to have these terminals come in contact with anything. If you want, you can wrap them in electrical tape, tie them up. You could even tie it up on the harness here out of the way where nothing's going to rub on it. Another key point, your feed wire coming in on number 30. That's going to be coming from your full-time positive stud. Okay, that's where that's going to come in at. Now, like for 85 or 6, the ground wire, just go to your ground stud, full-time ground. And again, on your feed wire, number 30, use heavy enough wire. For a 30 amp setup, you're going to need at least 12 gauge wire. 12 gauge is about 30 amps. 10 gauge is around 50 amps, which is too much. Minimum use 14 gauge wire. Now this is a 14 gauge fuse holder. It's got a 25 amp fuse. You want to use a fused link to feed this relay. If you don't, and you have a failure or a short on your accessories or your wiring, you can risk burning up your whole machine, catching it on fire, burning up your accessories, and causing a lot of damage. Don't do that. Use a fuse holder. You can get these any parts store. Just go in and get a minimum of a 14 gauge, 12 gauge or 10 gauge is fine. You can always put a smaller fuse in it so that you don't damage the relay. You can put a 25 amp or 30 amp fuse on that fuse holder even if it's larger wire. And that way you won't overload your wiring, you won't overload your relay. But use a fuse holder. Don't skimp on that. So also your output wire, number 87, also needs to be 12 gauge wire minimum, or 14 gauge minimum. 12 would be preferable to go out to your accessories or to your accessory stud. Okay, those two wires are very important. Number 30 and number 87, heavy wire. Use a fuse holder, and this will work wonders for you, and it's the right way to wire instead of just stacking a bunch of terminals on this accessory stud and hoping that little itty bitty 16 gauge wire is going to feed all of your accessories and not burn them up. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I helped some of you guys out with a little bit of wiring, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and thanks for watching.